Ben Holliday leaned back on his elbows and let the smells of the picnic lunch bring a growl to his empty stomach. Breakfast had been hours ago, and he had been careful to refrain from eating anything since. Thank goodness the wait was almost over. Willow was unpacking the containers and setting them out, aided by Abernathy and Parsnip. Soon, it would be time to eat. It was a perfect summer day for a picnic, the sky clear and blue, the sun warming the earth and the new grasses, chasing memories of winter's chill into the past once more. Flowers were blooming, and leaves were thick again in the trees. The days were stretching out farther as midsummer neared, and Landover's colored moons were chasing each other for increasingly shorter periods of time across the darkened heavens. Willow caught his eye and smiled at him, and he was instantly in love with her all over again, as if it were the first time, as if they were meeting in the midnight waters of the Irulan, and she was telling him how they were meant for each other. "You might lend a hand, wizard," Abernathy snapped at Quester Thews, interrupting Ben's thoughts, obviously peeved that the other was doing none of the work in setting out the lunch. Quester looked up from a strange purple and yellow wildflower, oblivious. The wizard always looked as if he were oblivious, whether in fact he was or not. "Lend a hand," Abernathy repeated sharply. "Those who don't do the work don't eat the food. Isn't that how the fable goes?"
"Well, no need to get huffy about it."
Quester Thews abandoned his study for the more pressing need of appeasing his friend.
"Here, that's not the way to do that. Let me show you."
They went back and forth for a few more moments, then Willow intervened, and they settled down. Ben shook his head. How many years now had they been going at each other like that? Ever since the wizard had changed the scribe into a dog? Even before? Ben wasn't sure, in part because he was the newcomer to the group, and the history wasn't entirely clear even now, and in part because time had lost meaning for him since his arrival from Earth. Assuming a separateness of Landover from Earth, he amended, an assumption that was perhaps more theoretical than factual. How, after all, did you define a boundary that was marked not by geographical landmarks or proper surveys, but by fairy mists? How did you differentiate between soils that could be crossed in a single step, but not without words or talismans of magic? Landover was here, and Earth there, pointing right and left, but that didn't begin to explain the distance between them. Ben Holliday had come into Landover when his hopes and dreams for a life in his old world had dried to dust, and reason had given way to desperation. Purchase a magic kingdom and find a new life, the ad in Rosen's Christmas catalog had promised. Make yourself king of a land where the stories of childhood are real. The idea was unbelievable, and at the same time, irresistible. It called for a supreme act of faith, and Ben had heeded that call in the manner of a drowning man reaching for a lifeline. He had made the purchase and crossed into the unknown. He had come to a place that couldn't possibly exist, and had found that it did. Landover had been everything and nothing like what he had expected. It had challenged him as he had not thought anything could. But ultimately, it had given him what he needed: a new beginning, a new chance, a new life. It had captured his imagination. It had transformed him completely. It continued to baffle him, though. He was still trying to understand its nuances, like this business of time's passage. It was different here from his old world. He knew that from having crossed back and forth on more than one occasion and finding seasons out of sync. He knew it, too, from the effect it had on him, or the lack thereof. Something was different in the way he aged over here. It was not a progressive process, a steady rate of change, minute by minute, hour by hour, and so forth. It was difficult to believe, but sometimes he did not age at all. He had only suspected that before, but he was certain of it now. This was a deduction arrived at not from observing his own rate of growth, which was not easily measured because he lacked objectivity and distance,